Well, Tina Turner had a special relationship with Australia and Australians loved her. Perhaps it was due to the fact that she had an Australian manager, but it's probably because she was the face of the NRL 30 years ago. Joining me live now is John Quayle, the creator of that Simply the Best NRL campaign. Still the best ever campaign, I think, for the NRL. What do you reckon, John?
Well, certainly, Laura, and it certainly created wonderful change for rugby league, but not only rugby league, but sport. It was an outstanding campaign. It was created by Hertz Pole, an agency that had a vision for us wanting to attract more women, more younger people to watch our game, and it certainly did. The songs that Tina created at that time, people don't realise that the first song was "What You See Is What You Get," and yeah, that went on for the first year, which was the first change. And then, as you said, Roger was, an Australian and her manager, and he was very creative. And he rang Jim Walpole and said, "Well, we've got this new album coming out at the end of the year, and I got to say, I think there's a song on it that's been written for sport. And maybe you and John better get over here and have a listen to it." So we flew to Los Angeles, and I've got to say, we heard the song, and you could just see that it was certainly had sport written all over it. So we were able to purchase that song and buy it for the rights for the Southern Hemisphere for the next 7 years, and it was certainly created a legacy.
Yeah, right. But John, purchasing a song for the campaign is one thing, but then getting Tina Turner to front it, I mean, that must have been unusual. How did that happen? Did you meet her? Did you think that she would fit in perfectly as the face of the campaign as well? What was she like?
Well, look, she was that was the great why I think it worked so well, because of what she was. And yes, she knew nothing about the game, and there was a lot of controversy early on when it was released that here we were going to use a black American grandmother to promote the game of rugby league. Yeah. And there were a lot of people totally opposed to it. But yeah, Jim Walpole and I flew to London. I took football jumpers, goalpost pads. We had one day with Roger's approval to film in a dressing room in Fulham in London. It was freezing cold. I used two footballers that were playing over there at the time, and Gavin Miller and Cliffy Lyons. And from the time that she met them, everyone just felt so relaxed and warm. And it didn't matter, Laura, when she came to Australia, to do Simply the Best, relaxing with the players on the beach, passing a football. Every morning was, "How's everyone?" In the gymnasiums. It was just as if she loved it, and she did love it. And you could see from all of those commercials how she enjoyed it. She got a lot of response at airports around the world. People would go up to Tina and say, "I love those commercials that you've done in Australia for rugby league." And I think that thing that made it for all of us was her. And her demands were nil. She just loved doing it, and so did we, of course.
It's so great to hear that story, John, because when you look at this campaign that we've just showed everyone, I mean, it was a different time. You say, getting a black grandmother to front the NRL campaign, I mean, it was a completely different time. I'm just looking at the Winfield Cup. I mean, who would think that you'd ever let a cigarette company sponsor a football campaign? But, times have changed, and she did look like she enjoyed it. She looked like she genuinely loved the players.
And every day on the set, that's what it was like. And if you look at that last commercial that we did in '95, when she's on the Harbour Bridge, and, a few days before this, is we're having dinner, and, it was suggested, we might ask Tina maybe she'd get on the Harbour Bridge and do this, because we're expanding the competition to Auckland and Perth and North Queensland, and the theme was bridges. And they said, she would do that. But when she was asked, that would be wonderful. When am I doing it? And we had to film at 8 o'clock, the helicopter, and we had to rely on had to get her on top of the Harbour Bridge. When she walked it, there were no safety conditions. There was no bridge walk back in those days. And if you have a look at her, she is standing there on the top of the bridge dancing, as comfortable as if it was the stage. And I think those sort of images remain in advertising terms forever, because people say, how did that possibly happen? But it did, and it happened because of Tina.
Well said, John. We've got to get Peter V'landys to revive it, somehow modernise it, make a new version. But it's been a pleasure to talk to you this morning, John. You've been lovely company. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.